Okay, so this is the end of day 1 of trying to make a 3D renderer for a Jenga thing. I wanted to make Jenga in 3 dimensions, Scratch, and this is how far I've gone in the first day. So it looks really complicated, it is, but basically, let me just clean up blocks. There we go. Okay, now we can go from the very start, which is on most Scratch projects in 3D, it's just a wireframe. All the good ones aren't a wireframe though. So, and I want my project to be good, so it's not. I borrowed this triangle drawer from this cool guy, so I can draw a triangle with my 3 points. And then what I did is I set up a couple of lists to store all the data for my 3D shapes. And then I created this function up here called make cube, which will make a cube. And it'll add all the points. This is a very similar structure to OBJ files. OBJ files, it lists points in the file, and then it lists the vertices and the faces connecting them. So I have my points here, and then I have my triangles, and each one of these numbers is the point index that they connect in between, the 3 points that they connect in between. So this automatically just configures a square. And you can see it here too. You can see that if I rotate it a bit, you can see all the different shapes. Don't mind the little errors, I'll try to fix those later, but as I'll explain it later, but they're really hard to solve. I've already tried to solve them. Okay, I then built a renderer. I first built this point renderer. If I run it and turn on points, it'll turn on this point renderer, and you can see that all it does is it goes through each point, and then it uses a simple projection formula to project the 3D into 2D, as you can see. After I made this point projector, it didn't used to look this complicated. It's just in accounting with all the other stuff I added, it's this complicated now. But basically, what I made this renderer up here, which all it did is it ran through each triangle. Like, there's 2 triangles for this face, but they're just the same color, so you can't see it. So it ran through each triangle, so I'm putting my mouse to each point where the triangles would be. It runs through this triangle. Then it gets the X and Y and Z position of these points. It projects it into 2D. And it does this for each side. So it goes here, gets X, Y, Z, projects it to 2D, gets this one, X, Y, Z, project, X, Y, Z, project, which is these here. These variables, I'm setting it. So this is the projection, and then I'll put them inside of this to draw the triangle where it's supposed to be. And I was like, wow, this works so well. I made some other things too, like I made these rotation ones. So I have one that you put in X, Y, Z, the amount you want to rotate, and the origin or the axis of rotation. And I made 3 of them to rotate X, Y, and Z. Where did it like put it? I don't know where it put it. Like, where does it put this stuff? And then this one just combines them together to make a simple rotate cube function. It just takes the cube you want to rotate and the X, Y, and Z you want to rotate it by. That's what I use. I just click R on my keyboard and it starts rotating for me. So that just changes the points and stuff. Not that complicated. But the thing that took me the longest is, what order do I draw the triangles in? If I draw the ones at the front before the ones at the back, then what happens? You can't see the ones at the front. The ones at the back are only visible. And it's not just going to be like that because of the way I set up the square maker here. It would be like you would just see random triangles all about the place and it wouldn't look good at all. So like if I completely remove the sorting algorithm, you can see how weird it turns. See, it doesn't know what order to draw the triangles in. This is not an issue for wireframes, but it is an issue for this, which is very bad. So you can see it looks very confusing. If I constantly click the sort button, it actually does kind of work, but just put it inside the renderer and it'll sort to an extent. You see, what it's doing is it's going through each triangle, then it's getting the X, Y, and Z points. It's averaging them to find the center of the triangle, just somewhere in here. It's probably down here. And then it finds the distance between this point and the camera. And it sorts it from closest to furthest, or furthest to closest, actually. And it draws the furthest ones first, and then it draws the closest ones last, to make sure that the closest ones are in front. And holy shit, this took the life out of me, this sorting algorithm. Okay, this big thing here is just finding out the distance. It's just averaging the points, then finding the distance to the camera. And this looks simple enough, but it's quite complicated. It's not a very good sorting algorithm. It would run like super fast, but it's a limit of 30 frames per second. But whatever, it goes through each index, and then it finds the lowest number, and it deletes it from that list and adds it to another one. And it finds lowest, adds it, lowest, adds it, lowest, adds it. So you can see, that's how it works. Now the errors that you're seeing, like you see a couple, just randomly appear. That, I'm not entirely sure. This, it used to be just the Z position, so it was an orthographic sorting, but now this is a perspective sorting, so, it should have been fixed. It's just, the faces that should be, rendered, like, behind, are rendered in front instead. It's just a small issue. Like, let's see if we can just spot one. Okay, these one, I think this is a different type because they're less common on here. Before they were more common. Okay, this one's hard to see, but you can see that that is a triangle along there, and you can see that top face there. That green triangle is a triangle that runs like that, and that's being rendered in front of the triangle, the yellow triangle that runs like that, which it shouldn't. But the reason why, I can actually see it now. This green triangle, its origin point is there, but this yellow one, it's over here, which is technically, this one is technically closer. Technically. It should be farther. It should be way farther away. I think it's just because my finding the center of the triangle is not very good. I'll fix it tomorrow. Right now it's really late. It's like midnight right now. So yeah. But that's basically all I've really built today. I'm actually quite proud of it, actually. And I even did a way to figure out the FOV with a little bit of trigonometry. But yeah, it's your FOV. It doesn't work very well. Like, I can just spam it up and down and it just breaks. Oh yeah, there's so many things like you can just make it break. Like, it's actually quite funny. Like, I can just bloop. And I would have such a hard time figuring, like, wait. If I replace this with like a different value, like Dorig X or whatever that is, that would be so hard to figure out. Like, where's the error? Where's the error? And it's right in here. It's just this little tiny thing. It's so hard to see. This is why I've quit so many times when I've made these before. I've tried to make one of these before so many times. It's just I've quit so many times just because a little tiny thing gets messed up. Like, a little tiny small thing. Like, it could just be one of these is X and one of these is Y. Like, I can replace this W here with an H, restart it, and activate it. You wouldn't notice much of a difference, but later on, it will be such a big difference. Like, I'm gonna put that back actually because I don't want to see much of a difference in that. One of these 4s, one of this 1 could be a 2. What would that what would that do? What would that do? Oh, I can see much more errors. I can see a couple. There's a lot more errors in this one. I don't even know what I changed. What did I even change? I changed that 1 to a 2. That's what I changed. But yeah, it's just strange little errors causing strange little bugs. Makes me strange little angry. Which is not nice. So yeah, that's just day 1. So I'm doing pretty well.